Brothers, to tell you, the universe hides you so that you would never be scratched and never receive a ding or a dent.
Preaching you just like I would have in the old days, just minus a few characters in the story.
There's no mention of God or Jesus.
Can I get a darling?
Prepare yourself for a journey of discovery. The book has been written, the speeches have been done, and now it's time to go between the pages with Jerry DeWitt and Bobby C. Today's date is September 15th. This is Hope After Faith. My name is Bobby C., and once again I am joined by my amazing co-host, the one and the only Miss Jerry D. How you doing, Jerry D?
Bobby C. I'm doing good, my friend.
Good. So we are trying something, buddy, to make sure that hopefully our audio is hanging in there with us.
I hope it does. It's already sounding a little choppy over here, but I think we'll be okay.
You know, isn't it funny how we can talk in pre-show, everything's great, and the time
pre-show was right.
Yeah, everything sounded fine walking, and then we go live, and all of a sudden it just goes on us.
And it was pristine. It was absolutely perfect during the pre-show.
And now here we are.
It was like you were here in the room with me.
And now here we are live, and look what's happening. I'm telling you, it's Satan.
It's the nature of the business.
Yeah, Trav said,
satanic business.
Trav said it's skipping.
Yeah. It's skipping. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know.
It breaks my heart. What can we do about it? Anything?
Trav said, is it on Google? It is. It is on Google because apparently Skype is not my friend. So we're trying it through a hangout with just Jerry and I. And I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. And I don't know. I just hope everything will work itself out.
You know what? Maybe the internet is just as tired as we are.
Look here, if the internet's even remotely as tired as I am right now, it's amazing I'm even hearing you.
That may be what it is. That may be all that there is to it.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be it. Well, so how have you been since the last time we talked?
I've been good. I've been on the road. Business is good, and business has had me busy. I've traveled 10 hours one way. I'm now busting that trip up. As I head back, it has me once again in Paul DeWitt's studio in order to have access to the internet and to the World Wide Web and all of our family and friends. But it's been good. You know, I've been learning things, just business-wise, but learning things about myself. Mm-hmm. And anyone who knows me knows that I am my own favorite subject. So it's really great to learn things about myself still.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you have been in Houston.
I have.
Yeah, so, between your traveling and my working almost 70 hours a week, it's amazing that we have time to sit down and spend an hour together.
It is amazing we have time. And it's also, we have to really give some incredible kudos to the Hope After Faith listener family, because we've been too busy to publicize. We've been to remind people we even exist. And so just to see even a handful of people show listening, especially listening live, is very flattering and just makes me feel all dovey on the inside.
Just makes you feel all soft, huh? I hear you. No, I have always said, and I'll continue that we have an amazing Hope After Faith family in us.
Yes, we do.
I'm very fortunate.
Absolutely. I couldn't be happier. Honestly, could not be happier.
Well, we're winging it tonight. I'll be completely honest with you. If there's anything you know about Hope After Faith, is we're pretty much raw and open. We just tell you the truth. I woke up about an hour ago and working on it. I haven't done much. I'll be completely honest. Usually I have a run sheet in front of me and it keeps me sounding as professional as I can. Tonight, no need. We are basically as raw as we can get tonight.
No run sheet. So that means we can just go in here and say anything and do anything.
I know. See, you just see. Normally, I have something that keeps me on track. And, well, not tonight. There's no telling what's going to happen.
Right. And normally you have Ashley in the background listening who may be trying to keep you in line as well.
Yep, and I don't even have Ashley here tonight, so I'm telling you, it's going to be fun.
It's all up in the air, my friend.
It
all
is.
up in the air.
So our topic tonight is religion cheating?
Yes.
I'm very interested in hearing how you're going to discuss this, because we talked about it a little bit earlier in the week.
Yes.
And by the time you got done, I'm like, hell yeah, religion's cheating. So
You gave away the ending. I was, people could have been betting that maybe it was or maybe it wasn't.
I think
there's any chance.
Yeah, I think the average person, when they're listening to this show, already knew the answer to that question by the time I got it out of my mouth.
Sure,
But
absolutely.
it's going to be fun to discuss it and discuss how we think that it is, and maybe help the listener. Maybe the listener will agree with us.
Maybe so. And if they don't, that's quite all right,
Well, if
because
they
it's a
don't,
complicated subject.
Well, if they don't, they just need to go on then. We only want people that agree with us around here.
That's right. A new rule. Everyone has to agree. If you don't agree, then you can't stay.
That's right.
I understand.
You're out of the family.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. There's only one requirement. Agree with everything we say all the time.
That's it. And you'll fit right in.
That's right. You don't have to worry about it. I am moved by the way that this life after faith, this hope after faith. Oh man, saying life after faith takes me to Rich and Deanna Joy. Such beautiful people. Have you ever had a chance to meet them, connect with them?
No.
Yeah, just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. But they had a wonderful podcast called Life After Faith. But hope after faith in this life. Go ahead.
I was saying, I think I have heard that podcast like once or twice.
Yeah. It was a fantastic show. But the hope after faith experience for me just is sometimes through introspection, other times through just life experiences, normal everyday struggles, maybe struggles that aren't so normal, struggles that just belong to this experience and this transition. One way or the other, layer after layer continues to be pulled back, and I see myself and I see the changes that I'm going through, and I see the way that my personality was shaped in ways and areas that I was just not aware of earlier. And just a few days ago, this thought came to me that in reality, in all actuality, religion, particularly faith, supernatural-based religion, is cheating. Mm-hmm. And, that's why I reached out to you about this, was to see if you agreed or to see if that even made sense.
Okay. Well, we see how religion cheats, especially when it comes to music, right?
Right.
Yeah, because they will take what is a very popular pop song or something like that, and they will turn it into a carbon copy of that song, and then just introduce Jesus.
Right.
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 Right. The band that I think about with this the most is Stryper.
Yes. Stryper was great.
Yeah, the Christian heavy metal rock band, while the rest of us was listening to Metallica and Motley Crue and Skid Row. Your Christian.
I was having to listen to Stryper, yes.
So when it comes in the aspect of music, I can definitely see where religion is cheating.
Sure. Do you remember Carmen?
I do remember Carmen.
Oh, gosh, I loved Carmen so much. And I was so excited by Carmen because being Pentecostal and really just being a truly devout Christian, at the age of 16, 17, made you an outsider already. you know.
Oh, yeah.
But then to add to that, being Pentecostal and having to dress a certain way and not being able to do certain things and having to do other things, you very much felt like an outsider. And so whenever I stumbled across Carmen and listened to this, I don't even know what it would be called now, because, you know, to me it sounded like rock and roll at the time, but looking back, it probably wasn't really very much rock and roll. I felt like, you know, I felt like it was a part. It was still Christian. It was still in the language of Christianese. It didn't offend any of the theological principles that I was trying to hold on to, except for the Godhead, but that's a different subject altogether.
Right.
But it made me feel less like an outsider. You know, you were a little bit closer to being part of the pop culture. And I was so excited by it. I drugged my Pentecostal grandmother into the back bedroom where I was living at the time and played this wonderful song for her, because every time that I would play it, I would be able to pray and worship and speak in tongues and feel the Holy Ghost. And it was just very, very exciting. So I wanted her to have that same experience via this song. And the name of the song was I've Been Delivered.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great song. It's fun. You know, it's just a fun song. And so I play that for her, and I'm just sitting over there about to explode in the Holy Ghost, just, you know, just feeling it, just burning me up like a house on fire, you know, and I'm excited about it. And so he ends the song with I've been delivered, you know, and she looks at me and she says, delivered from what? Because in her mind, he seemed to still be, you know, possessed
worldly,
by all of the sins, you know, that anybody else would be, you know. I've been delivered from what?
Isn't it funny how one song can resonate one way with you, but then it resonates another way with someone else, and you're sitting there goosebumps to the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and
right.
just having this worship experience, and then you got somebody else going, "That's the dumbest crap I ever heard."
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think you have a very good idea about songs, and you know, and a segment that we should add to the show, if you wanted to mention that, see if anybody thinks it's a good idea as well.
I'm sure. I was thinking, guys, I sit in a truck by myself for 12 hours a night, so I have a lot of time to think. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. But I was thinking, I guess it was 2 nights ago, might have been, I get my days messed up now, about taking our favorite Christian songs and playing it on the air and then dissecting that song, dissecting the message behind the song. Matter of fact, I can tell you probably the first song that I would use. There's a group called the Kingdom Heirs. They're out of Dollywood, sure. Tennessee, and they have a song called I Can Pray. So that would probably be the first song that I would use during this segment, if it's a segment that we decide to do. And I presented it to Jerry, and he's like, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I love that. It'd be fun watching the listeners in the chat room trying to puke through their keyboard so that they can let us know how the music's turning them off. But at the same time, I think everybody would find it really interesting. And I know I would find it interesting for sure.
Well, because now that I sit back and listen to, first of all, I love the sound of 4-part harmony.
Sure.
I love the sound of a 4-part harmony with a very rich, what I would call a Southern gospel bass. Right. I just love that sound. So I can listen to it for the musicality of it, right? And not really have to pay attention too much to the words. I just love the sound of a quartet. And I was sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute. I used to love this. Listen to what they're saying. And I'm like, oh man, this would be a great idea. Because I could sit there and pick it apart just driving down the road listening.
That's fantastic. And what I would like to do, add to that is that if that seems to go over, let's please make a note. Keep in mind, I would like to play some what I consider to be secular spiritual music. And I've got a list. I'll have to find it. Much of it I'll be able to remember off the top of my head, I'm sure. But as I was leaving supernaturalism, but yet was still pastoring and was trying to find a way to craft a vocabulary and a philosophy that would keep me in the pulpit, but would not be lying to anyone or violating my conscience, I started trying to incorporate purely secular music into the service, particularly for the young people.
Right.
And for the sake of having those goosebumps, feeling those doodads, having that inspiration, enjoying music, promoting a particular, at the time, actually humanistic message, but doing it in a way that seemed to also fit in a church service, and particularly a youth church service.
Right.
So that would be kind of fun to add that from time to time as well.
Yep, I've already written it down. Secular spiritual music. You said make a note. I did for real. Make a note.
Well, thank you. That's excellent.
Talking about music. If I can take it, if I can keep this going for a few minutes more.
Sure.
Do you remember Ray Boltz?
Absolutely.
Okay. Ray Boltz had a song called "The Anchor Holds." And
oh yeah, the anchor still holds.
Yes. Well, I promised my dad that when he passed, that I would sing that song at his funeral because he loved that song.
Sure.
So, me as an atheist,
right,
I'm going to sing the song "The Anchor Holds" when my dad does pass away.
Absolutely.
I'm going to sing that song. But I was a huge Ray Boltz fan. I mean, a huge fan of Ray Boltz, and you were talking about how you could feel the spirit when you were listening to Carmen. Well, Ray Boltz was that guy for me.
Absolutely.
There was something about him. Oh, and my wonderful wife has made it into the chat room.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. The modern technology.
I'm telling you what, the Mouth of the South has entered the Hope After Faith chat room.
There she is.
There she is. Hey, honey.
Hi, Miss Ashley. Oh, look, and John said, nobody said hi to me.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Don't worry, John. That's you. Your one line is expressing my everyday existence. That's the way I walk around, my head down, going, "Nobody said hi to me."
Good Lord.
That's the way I feel 24 hours a day. I'm like, you know what? I'm paying for this damn party, and I wasn't even invited.
No, nobody loves me anymore.
Nobody loves me.
Nobody
loves me. Nobody cares I'm still here. Nobody. Yeah, I understand.
Walking around like Eeyore. Hey, bird. Sorry, you could tell I'm tired.
That's okay, though. We've had some great shows while we've been tired.
We've had some good ones.
We just cut through all the BS and just have a good time.
That's right. And you know what? What better time than now when I'm dog tired, you've been traveling, you're dog tired.
Absolutely.
So there's no telling what kind of show y'all going to get tonight. I tell you, it's liable to be all over the place by the time we're done.
Well, for some reason, thinking about tired, I have to say this. I was talking to my grandmother today, and it's the grandmother in Hope After Faith. One little quick caveat with that is I call her Momo. So anybody who's listening, anybody who's part of the Hope After Faith listener family, then you know something a lot of people know. I call her Momo. In the book, the editor would not allow me to call her Momo. They standardized it and used something somewhat generic for the sake of the reader because they felt like that would using your word from earlier, that would resonate with the reader more than just this eclectic Momo.
Right.
Piss me off. That crap's never going to happen again. The next book I write, if I have to self-publish it to get it exactly the way I want it, that's what I'll do. But
right.
So I'm talking to Momo today. Momo had eye surgery 2 days ago, and so she's better now. She had gotten cataracts removed a while back, and as predicted, a film grew over her eyes, and it took a long time for it to get bad enough for her to realize something needed to be done. Mm-hmm. So she got that removed, and today's like the third day or so, and so she is just stunned. She is stunned by what she can see, that she couldn't see, and the detail that she can see that she couldn't see. She didn't even realize what she couldn't see. And she said the part that was most disturbing, she went through this whole litany of things that she felt like, needed to have been cleaned better, but she couldn't see that that they were dirty. And at the end of this, she's like, and the worst part of all was when I looked in the mirror and I could see myself, now she's about to be 90 years old.
Right.
And she says, and I just couldn't believe how old I was and all this. And she said, that reminds me of a joke. She says, these two old men were making laps around the nursing home when one of the old ladies got loose and ran across the yard naked.
Uh-oh.
And one old man says to the other, what was that? And the other says, I don't know, but it sure needs ironing.
Yeah. That's about how I feel sometimes when I look in the mirror. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah. So anyway, somewhere in the midst of all that, talking about tired made me think about our looks and how we look when we're tired, which made me think about what Mama said in her joke.
Well, buddy, you saw me on video. I know I look rough.
I didn't know what that was, but I knew it needed ironing.
Exactly. Exactly. And Visine and all these, just them bloodshot, red, tired eyes,
Yeah. But but the blue of your eyes in that video was just matching the blue of your shirt so well. I thought it might be some optical illusion, like some video Photoshop going on or something.
No, man, I tell you, guys, I'm wearing my 2016 Reason Rally t-shirt. So if you have one, you know that royal blue color. That's the shirt Jerry's talking about.
Yeah. Perfectly matches his eyes. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to be speaking at Skepticon here in a couple of months. In between now and then, I think I'm going to buy some of those colored contact lenses.
Oh, yeah.
But get two different colors.
Right.
And just like go around through the whole conference with two different colored eyes.
Yeah. Or for you, what would look really wicked on you is you have that real dark hair and that dark beard, right?
Yeah.
Get white contacts. That would look wicked.
That would be awesome.
And look, we got John in the chat room directing the show. Well, we seem to be a bit off topic.
That's not what he tuned in for. He didn't tune in for this silliness. Yeah, he wants to know, is religion cheating?
You know what, John? This is what happens when we're both exhausted. We just kind of,
exactly.
We were talking one time before about doing a pre-show show, the type of show the type of conversation we have when we're in pre-show. Right. So, John, what you're getting is essentially the type of stuff we do in pre-show. We just, talk about different things and just BS for,
minus all of the dirty language and sexual content.
That's right. Because we are family friendly.
I'm still thinking maybe the, what was it? Hope After Dark may still be a good idea.
Hope After Dark. Yeah.
Yeah. Give all of that energy a place to go.
Oh, yeah.
Might be worthwhile after all. So, okay.
Back on topic.
So, is religion cheating? So this is my thought. The desire that is exhibited through religious practice. Now, I'm not talking about liberal theology. I'm talking about fundamentalism, evangelicalism, if that's a word, things that very much are based upon supernaturalism. I say that whether we like it or not, we are all married to reality. Mm-hmm. There's literally nothing we can do about it, right, as much as we would like to think that there is. We're married to reality. We're married to these rules of the universe. We're married to this instance. And oftentimes, I think religion is an attempt to break those rules, to not be obligated to the same cause and effect that exist within this marriage of reality, or marriage to reality. So when I say cheating, I'm not just meaning like cheating on a test, like you're looking at someone else's answers. I mean that religion is akin to adultery. Religion is akin to adultery in that it is an emotional, internal, which manifests itself physically, of course, affair with a fictional concept, with an alternate reality, one that happens to not exist. It is a devotion. It is an attempt to have a form of intimacy with an alternate reality, with something that is not true.
Yeah.
Now, we don't necessarily know that. I mean, honestly, most of us are born into this affair, born into this romance, born into this illicit relationship with imagination. But that doesn't change the fact that we are not devoting our energies to reality. And so as we begin to transition towards hope after faith, life after faith, or even like Trav, I believe it was, brought up, or was it Trav or Todd brought up about Ryan Bell has a podcast called Life After God.
Right.
Whatever the case, however we would phrase it or frame it, what we're really doing in this second life is reestablishing, recommitting ourselves, like a recommitment ceremony in a marriage, recommitting ourselves original partner, which is reality. And now we're in the situation of where we're having to understand it, maybe not even re-understand it, but understand reality, possibly for the first time, and to actually begin to operate within the realm of reality, taking responsibility where responsibility has to be taken instead of shrugging it off to a supernatural being or some type of supernatural concept. Now we're down in the dirt with the real world, living in a real way. And everyone who's engaged in religious practice, especially the kinds that I mentioned just a few moments ago, they're really cheating on reality. They're really trying to get something for nothing. It is akin to, in many ways, a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
There you go. Summed it all up. Nice show. See y'all later.
See y'all later. Thanks. It's been nice. It's been nice hanging with y'all.
Right.
Wow. Okay. I have nothing to add.
You are tired.
I'm tired. Look, my brain is running so slow tonight. I'm sitting there going, that's right, Jerry. Preach, brother. Preach. And then you stopped. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
No.
Really
it's quite all right. I was looking, I paused for a second because I was looking in the chat room and they're mentioning one of Seth's podcasts.
Yeah.
And, the question being, and I'm sure Seth dug down and got to a fantastic answer about being predisposed to believe in a higher being and those things. And obviously we know that within our psyche, there's an evolutionary disposition to place agency, to blame agency for everything that goes on around us. And that is a real, I think that's an important part of this cheating on reality, of religion being cheating, because when we hit that moment of introspection and trying to determine what the truth is and what should be done, quite honestly, particularly in our overly religious culture of today, religion is the cop-out. Religion is the path of least resistance.
Sure it is. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of, it's kind of akin to, well, if I can't, if it looks like it's too difficult to, work things out with my wife this evening, then I'll just go over to my girlfriend's house. I'm attempting to get something. I'm attempting to change my state of mind. I'm attempting to feel better physically. And instead of buckling down, working within the rules of reality and going at it in the right way, which sometimes is the harder way, then I'm just going to send my thoughts and prayers.
Right.
I'm gonna jump over to my girlfriend's house and get the jollies of no commitment, of no, just here's my thoughts and prayers, and I can keep all my hard work in my back pocket.
Right. Well, see, I like what Trav said. Trev said, I heard that too. That's why I turned to religion as a teen. I was in such a dark place. I wanted to be a child coddled by a parent again. And
yes.
And I remember several episodes ago, and I think it was during our Father Knows How to Hurt Me Best episode, where we talked about we were looking for the Heavenly Father, because our earthly fathers weren't the greatest things on the earth. So you were trying to find comfort. You were trying to find love from a Heavenly Father, right?
Yes.
And I resonate very well with that, Trav, because that's where I was, being, an abused child and looking to be coddled, right, by a parent, even though it's a parent that I can't see, I can't hear, I can't feel, can't touch, right? But as long as that heavenly parent was not able to physically hurt me, that was good enough for me.
Absolutely. And that's understandable. I don't think we could ever judge that version of ourselves harshly and be fair in any way. I think it's understandable why we do that. I think the mechanisms in place that encourage us to do that are very natural. I don't think it's a form of weakness on our part. I don't think it's a choice that we make. We definitely don't make those choices knowing, that things are not right or that this is cheating or anything like that. And I'm very sympathetic to that particular syndrome, because, as we all know, that's where I was at as well.
Yeah.
I've invested entirely too much emotional energy, commitment, and sacrifice to men in my life, basically trying to buy their fathership, wanting them to father me.
Yeah.
And only to be betrayed, one way or the other before it was over with, because, and here's the part that's a little difficult maybe, or sounds a little hard, but because it was out of a line with reality. The reality was that my father was dead. He had gotten killed.
Right.
And nothing was going to bring that back. Nothing was going to make that relationship possible. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't scenarios in which I could have had an even better, more rewarding, more satisfying relationship with a different father figure, that might have eclipsed the relationship I would have had with my original dad had he not, killed himself.
Right.
That doesn't change the fact that reality says, no, you don't get to have that relationship.
Well, with
that original person.
Well, you found a father-son relationship with your uncle for a while.
Man, it is amazing how much you know of that book and, and how much you remember that book. Yes, that's exactly right. No, that's fantastic. I'm flattered by that.
Yeah, you found it with your uncle until your uncle had his own children.
Till he had his own son. And as soon as he had his own son, I was freaking chopped liver, and thrown out. And that, but even then, and here's the harshness of reality. But we'll talk about the payoff, in the next segment. But the harshness of reality is that even though I was able to substitute for a short time that relationship with my uncle, my mother's brother, it still was not the relationship with my dad.
Oh, sure.
Even if it had been better, it still was not the relationship with my dad, because the rules of reality declared that relationship was now impossible. And so, though it may be natural and was natural, it's nothing I put any thought into. It was even instinctive to go and try to find a substitute for that. Ultimately, oftentimes, for substitution is maybe even indirectly, unintentionally denying the reality that is, and leaves many things unresolved.
That's very true.
Because it's in the accepting of that reality that we know what the pieces really are, we see what the issues really are, and that gets us a lot further down the road to being able to resolve what the issues really are.
Yeah. Exactly. It comes down to acceptance.
So often it comes down to acceptance, and so you have to see what is there or what is not there to even know what to accept.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy, Jerry, how we are willing to accept certain things so easily?
Sure.
Things that ultimately would probably be toxic for us. We accept it so easily. And I don't know if that comes back to a yearning, a deeply felt yearning to connect, right?
Sure.
That you're so focused, you're so pinpoint focused on one thing that you can't see the peripheral around you. So we accept something that is absolutely toxic to us.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling to me. It truly is, because there's there's been many times in my past that I accepted things and that were not of my best interest, simply out of a yearning or a desire to belong.
Right.
We still see that even today, even within our community.
Sure.
I'll give you a prime example. I sit down and tried my best to watch Star Trek. Why? Because I wanted to belong.
Right. Right.
I watched something that bored me to death.
Oh my God.
But why?
Bobby.
But
the
why?
things you're saying, the blasphemy that you're confessing in front of.
Well, hey, you told me to preach, so I was going to be honest.
I did, man. Preach.
But
tell the truth.
But we do things that are either that we just don't enjoy. Why? Because we want to belong to a group, to a certain group of people, or we want to belong in a community, right? And why? Is it really that important for us to have that acceptance?
Right.
Does there ever come a time to where you're comfortable with being who you are as a person, and it really doesn't matter whether you accept it or not? The whole concept of take me as I am or leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to get to that point. I am now at that point. I could care less. But for a long time.
But you didn't get there in a fun way.
No.
You didn't get there by climbing to the top of the mountain and having a talk with a guru. You got there through getting, feces thrown through a propeller at you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you get there through the hard knocks.
Sure.
You get there through going through some of your own personal hell.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's having to go through that hell that oftentimes opens your eyes.
It is, and we take that for granted because in life, particularly in this, the society that most of us belong to, we're encouraged to avoid every pitfall, every piece of unpleasantness, every ounce of pain, every problem that we possibly can. And success is just all the opposite of that. Success is everything works well, everything works right. Everything is in your favor. You're blessed, quote unquote, to the extent that, Christians oftentimes feel obligated in order to be a good witness to claim that they're blessed, when probably in their hearts of hearts, they think they're not really blessed. They're wondering what the heck's going on, But you're exactly right. I you know what I think, Bobby? I'm going to be honest with you. Here's what I really think. I'm about to say, I'm about to really be naked. You ready?
Get naked, man. Get naked.
There probably won't be a whole lot more reason to ever hear me say anything after I tell you what I'm about to say.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I really think that life as we know it today is just completely out of hand. It is completely a mess. It is like a huge stack of dominoes that every time we try to stand it up, it just, gets knocked over from some other variable that we weren't even aware of existed. I think that it is run amok. I think society and culture and civilization is life run amok. And that the software, we've talked about this before, but that the software of civilization, the software of culture, pop culture in particular, has completely out-upgraded itself and has outperformed and become more sophisticated than the hardware that we possess. Almost every day, in one form or the other, we're being driven by very fundamental, early installed evolutionary desires that would probably be pretty clear to understand if we lived in a far less complicated world.
Mm-hmm.
But because our worlds are so complicated now, then these urges, they seem to point towards very complicated answers, very complicated needs, when it may not really be complicated at all. Just like the whole thing about fitting into, this movement, fitting into any movement. Well, that's probably actually a very, very simple urge, a very simple desire to be part of a tribe for the sake of survival. But the concept of tribe or small family unit has now grown exponentially to all these other almost impossible to envision or to encapsulate concepts that it creates a huge sense of confusion and a sense of lack of direction. And so I really think, here we go, I really think a lot of this crap is answerless, because you're never going to be able to back society, back the complexity of living. The genie is out of the bottle. Pandora's box is open. You're never going to be able to back life down to a form of simplicity that matches the biological, thus psychological urges of a human being. So we're just going to struggle along down this never-ending river of complexity. There you go.
That's
no
it,
hope
y'all.
After faith.
Have a good night. Welcome to the last episode of Hope After Faith. Jerry just wrapped it up right there. We're done. Well, see, look, we as a culture have gotten so fast-paced. We live in a I want it now society.
Right.
We want it now. We don't want to be patient. We don't want to wait. We want it now. And I got a prime example for you. One of the guys that I work with makes the job that we do so far more complicated than it actually is.
Sure.
I go back to the movie Forrest Gump. If you remember the movie Forrest Gump, everything was simple. When everybody else was running around, he's like, nope, because you told me to, right? Real simple. And the guys I work with are like making it so much more difficult. And they're like, man, I honestly don't see how in the world you're able to be so calm about this. I'm like, because it's not hard. You have to eventually, sooner or later, get out of your own way. I can't remember who it was that said it, and I would love to give them the credit. But I heard, when things get tough, don't listen to yourself, talk to yourself.
That's great.
You know,
that's excellent.
And I can't remember. I saw someone say it, and I was like, that is the most powerful thing. One of the most powerful things that I've ever heard.
Sure.
Stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself.
Right.
You know, why do we make everything so damn hard? Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, everything's fast paced. If you remember right, when computers are first coming on the scene, they were supposed to make life easier for us.
Right.
Right.
And now you're literally a slave to one in your back pocket.
Exactly. You're a slave to technology. But then when you try to disconnect, it is such a big part of you missing. And
Exactly.
you know, it's like, where's my phone?
Everybody like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
Where's
oh my
my
God,
phone?
I lost it.
You-
Yeah.
Look, to the point.
Don't tell me there's no internet. I will jump out of this window. No internet.
Look, to the point that we'll turn around and drive 20 miles back to the house to get our phone.
Oh my gosh, just 20? I can't even imagine. I don't know how far would be too far. I mean, seriously, how far?
Just to go
If
back.
if you had the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for a phone. When I can remember, before cell phones, before the internet, before computers,
Right.
you know, it is true that life was more simple. But then again, when you think about it, folks, the good old days are only the good old days when you're not in them.
Yeah, that's right. Every good old day is only good because it's gone.
Because it's gone back in the good old days. Well, let's think back to the good old days. Was it really that good?
Right.
You know? And and now we have the world at our fingertips.
That's right.
And
Well, and I go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that leads us, you know, we were thinking the show might be a little shorter tonight. I
Yeah.
think that leads us to the payoff. You know, if as we suspect, religion is cheating and we're married to reality, and oftentimes that's harder, not as pleasant, not as quick, not as easy of a path as what religion would try to promote. And I'm being very, very, very general in saying those terms. I realize there are forms of religion that actually can make life far more difficult, you know. But if that is correct, then what is the payoff? You know, I mean, if you're just going to live and die anyway, then why not just stay in the matrix? You know?
Yeah.
So what is the payoff? And for me, the payoff is number one, if you truly do love truth, and there is something fundamentally integrous and excellent about being a lover of truth. You know, there's something very core about that.
Sure.
And if you really are a lover of truth, then reestablishing your faithfulness to reality brings you in contact with truth more regularly, because you're focused on truly trying to find the truth and not a fantasy, not some other justification or whatever. And so that's to me one of the benefits. I mean, a part of, not the only motivation, but a part of the motivation of my spiritual journey through Christianity was really trying to find God. And I didn't always fully understand it this way, but it's clear now, by God, I was looking for reality. You know, and that's the reason why I could not find myself any satisfaction in some liberal forms of Christianity or liberal forms of theology, because they weren't demanding that God show up. They weren't demanding that Jesus materialize in the prayer room. You know, I wanted God in reality. I wanted God to show up right here. God needed to walk in front of the TV, not beyond the TV, you know. And so that was actually a quest for reality, wanting to know the truth, which is the impetus for, you know, the scientific method and a love for, scientific truth, but truth and coming in contact more regularly with truth a part of the payoff for this, because there is a painful side, a slower side. But it's also when you're recommitted to reality, you actually have pieces of the puzzle to work with. Because in religion, you're trying to put this puzzle together and the pieces are invisible. So you can't even really see what the pieces are that you're trying to put together.
Right.
And you just have to take some preacher's word for it whenever he says, "Oh no, see the puzzle's together. This is the picture. It's just like what's on the box or in the book." Now that was deep. I hope somebody caught up with that. But at this, but in reality, there's a part of you that knows you're trying to put this puzzle together and you can't even see the pieces because they're imaginary, they're invisible.
Yeah.
When you're committed to reality, there are actual physical, tangible, quantifiable pieces of the puzzle that you can now play with. Just because you're committed to reality doesn't mean that you instantly know how to put all those pieces together and make everything work. And sometimes you don't even know what you're trying to put it together for, but you do come a lot closer to knowing the pieces.
I would say sometimes it's just good to know that the pieces are there and you can see them and utilize them.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's enough until you can figure out how to put them together.
Right. If you're trying to get control, if you're trying to have a sense of control, you're far better off. I mean, just trying to have a sense of control leads to much of the anxiety in life in the first place. But if you're still trying to do that, which is natural to try to do, then trying to take control over reality, though probably still impossible, would be a whole lot less frustrating than trying to take control over a version of reality that actually doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
It's like Todd said in chat room. Who's to say that the puzzle's meant to be put together?
Absolutely. Well, and here was kind of my little tirade a moment ago. My puke of depression is I think that actually there is no puzzle that we're actually trying to put together. I think there is a hope and a sense that there may be a picture that we're trying to put the puzzle pieces together for, but that's just an illusion from our combined chaos of civilization run amok. We just assume that it's that way. We're assuming that we're all running in a direction for a reason, and it could just be that we're just running.
Yeah.
And there's actually no reason. One of my favorite stories, somewhat related to, yes, exactly. There is no spoon. One of my favorite examples, somewhat related to that, is when Kelly and I, we lived in Des Moines, Iowa, in the book. We worked for this big insurance company, and on just the one floor that we worked on, there was about 300 underwriters, 200 or 300 underwriters. It was a big, big, big place, and that was just one of the floors. And it was, normal. It was in Des Moines, so it was snowing, go figure. And the fire alarm went off. And so here, this huge mass herd of people, files out of the building and makes their way out into this snow-covered parking lot, to wait and see what happens. And so as we're all standing out there freezing to death and, moaning and groaning about, having to come outside, the first fire truck pulls up, and and it's actually the truck, not the fire engine, but the truck. It's it's the guy who's supposed to get there first for these commercial type incidents, and run in and look at the fire control box, the fire suppression system control box, and radio back to to everyone who's on their way there. This is what the indicator lights are saying, and this is where the fire's at, and this is what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. So they can be prepared. Why drive to this side of the building if the computer is telling you it's on the other side, right. And so he's in there, he's doing that. He's in there, and it's right in the foyer, in the entrance behind kind of the, guard desk or whatever. Well, while we're all standing out there BSing, moaning and groaning, somebody, I don't even know who, just somebody just decides that they're going back in the building, apparently, to retrieve something. And as that one person starts to go back in the building, people out of the corner of their eye see that, and they just instinctively start following that person. And so, 2 become 8, become 32, become 250. And now the entire parking lot is being emptied. We're all filing back into the building. And the fire alarm is still blaring at ear-piercing decibels. And we've just instinctively followed this person back in, back into the building. And nobody's questioning it. And as we're walking by the guard desk where this display is at, I see this first responder, and he's on the phone, and he's red-faced. He's almost out of breath. He's totally in shock. And I hear him saying to the person, I don't know what's happening. Everybody's just coming back in the building. The alarm's still going off, and everybody's coming back in the building. And I grabbed Kelly, by the back of the jacket. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't over. We just instinctively followed. And so that's a very long story to say, just because we're all running, or just because we're all playing with these pieces, doesn't actually mean there's anywhere to run to, or that there's actually a picture that will come together when we get all these pieces together. And that may be a hard pill to swallow when we're recommitted to reality. And we swallow that pill in other subjects as well, like mortality and no heaven and, no meaning, no purpose in life other than what you give it. So we already deal with that in other ways. But the more committed we are to reality, the more we make our God, for lack of better words, reality, then I think the more in tune with what is we will be, and a better chance we will have to at least put the pieces where we want them to be for ourselves.
Very well said, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very well said. It's the where are you going? I don't know. I'll find out when I get there mentality.
Absolutely.
You're just on this journey, and for most, there's not even a final destination. They're just on their journey.
Sure.
Sure. Where are you going?
Right.
I don't know. I'll find out when I get there.
Absolutely.
And just wandering around. So.
Right. Right. And not to be too negative, on a show that's generally very upbeat, but, we find ourselves very regularly just trying to get past some landmark that's in the near future. Mm-hmm. If I can just make it to Friday and pay that bill, or if I can just make it to Friday and get that deposit so there's not another, overdraw, fee, insufficient funds fee. If I can just, get through this semester, if I can just, make it to the vacation, if I can just, and we framed that as if all of that's a really very negative thing. But what if in our relationship to reality, we find out that's really actually is. So let's figure out how to enjoy that.
Right.
Let's figure out how to incorporate that into our life experience and make the best of it. Yeah. That's kind of the phrase that's probably been missing in what I've been saying this whole time, figuring out how to make the best of it. The hope after faith, that hope is not a blind faith type hope.
No.
It's not I'm just going to hope things work out. It's saying the hope after faith is actually the person who's further down the lane giving their testimony, speaking back to the person who's just started down that lane of transition, saying, it's all good. It's going to be great. It's really okay over here. And that testimony, that wisdom, that sharing of experience is what gives hope to that person as they're moving away from faith.
Yeah, it's the person throwing down a rope because they've already made it up to the top of the wall.
That's exactly right. That's right. So you're not hoping that there's this or that after faith. you receive hope from the people who've already
Been
got
there.
there
Yep.
on the other side.
Exactly. Well, I can't think of a better place to close it, my friend.
Man, as tired as you and I both are, I think the only better place would have been about 35 minutes ago.
Look, as a fan of the show, I'd be like, that's all they gave me was 35 minutes? Those bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That is a great place to end the show. You know, when we're talking about what does the hope and hope after faith actually mean. Look, John, only an hour? Yes, sir. You lucky you got an hour.
I'm telling you. Was it only an hour? I felt like I talked for just an hour by myself.
No, it was only an hour. It is 9:01. Yeah, it was only an hour. But thank you very much, guys, for hanging out with us. I know we were kind of sporadic tonight. We're both exhausted. You know, life has a way of doing that to you, making you very tired. Keep in mind that we do have the voicemail line that is available to you guys should you want to call and leave us a voicemail, or you want to give us your 3 things for Stump the Preacher. That is still happening. We did have someone say, I think it was Dustin, maybe, that said that they wanted Stump the Preacher more than once a month. Well, it is you guys that will determine that by the amount of voicemails we get during the week to see if maybe it's worth splitting it in 2. But that number is 6307-DEWITT. That's 6307-DEWITT. That is our voicemail line. We would be glad to hear from you, whether just tell us you love us or to tell us you hate us. It'd be great to hear from you either way. I don't have anything really that I need to put out to the masses, Brother Jerry. If you want to, go ahead and let them know where they can find you, where they can get their audio copy of Hope After Faith. You guys like Jerry's voice? You need to hear him read this book to you.
You're too kind, as always. If they want to go to atheistaudiobooks.com, then that will take them to where they need to go to get an audio version. If they're looking for a hard copy, then more than likely they can still find it in any of their major online book retailers. If they're just looking for us, Paul and I have been just like Bobby and I. We've been very busy. Things have been very sporadic here lately, but there are hundreds, literally hundreds of creations, as they call them on Patreon, for you to enjoy. If you want to go to jerrydewitt.net and look through there and see if it's worth a whole $1 a month for you to have access to a lot of those creations. And I would just ask one final thing. I don't think I've done this before, but because we've been so busy and we've had so many life challenges in just the last month or so, if you beautiful listeners, if you could be so kind as to try to share the show around a little bit, let some of your Facebook friends or Twitter friends know that we're here, it would really, really do us a lot of good to add some more members to the Hope After Faith listener family. So any way that you can help promote the show, it would really help us get over this hump until we get things settled back down and we're able to be our own marketeers.
Yes, and trust me, it will get to the point to where it does slow down and we're able to do that. Just like Jerry said, right now, everything is crazy. And to the point that, you know, it gets to the point now, it was nice just to sit for an hour and relax for this hour. Because I know when I get up out of this chair, it's going to be crazy again.
Yeah.
So, yes, anything that you guys can do to maybe help spread the word about the show, share it on your Facebook pages, anywhere on social media, if you are able to do so. We understand there are some people that are not out to family and friends, and we understand that. But any help that you can give would be greatly, greatly appreciated. And keep in mind, guys, if you want to get an actual signed copy of Hope After Faith, signed by the man himself, the baddest man alive, Mr. Jerry DeWitt, just go over to Team DeWitt on Patreon, become a $25 a month patron, and you get a signed copy of Hope After Faith, signed by Mr. Jerry DeWitt. And I'm telling you what, you need to get that.
And Todd, if you're still listening, and I think you are, I have not forgotten about you. I just need to actually stay in the same state for more than 24 hours, and we'll work out everything that you and I have talked about. So I haven't forgotten about you.
Buddy, you've been from Florida to Louisiana to Texas to, good Lord, I know you tired.
I am, but you know, Bobby, I'm kind of starting to catch my second wind. I traveled so long and I traveled so far that my heart began to be weary with the passage of the miles. But I took a small rest and I set my mind and myself up on a shelf. I sat there and I watched the world as it passed by. I felt the wind as it blew across my face, and I began to slowly feel my energy revitalize like a small ember turning into a larger fire. And now I would say to you on this night that I am once again ready to travel. My foot is back upon the pedal. There is a song blaring through the speakers, and if you could hear it now, then you would know I am on the road again.
And the song you'd hear is this one right here. Cause Jerry, he the baddest man alive.
I love this show. It builds me up so much.
Oh yeah. The baddest man alive right there. Guys, I'm gonna tell you something. Thank you so much. Jerry, I'm still kind of waiting to get my second win. This midnight shift is kicking my behind, but I will get used to it, and I'll be back to being myself again. Guys, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Hope After Faith, on Twitter at Hope After Faith. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hope After Faith. Also, keep in mind we do have a closed group that is a Hope After Faith listener group that you can go in there, and it's a closed room where you can be yourself. You can make your comments about the show. We often discuss topics in the show, and people get together and they talk and just have a good time. Now, look, Miss Ashley knows I'm live, and she's calling me. Look at that. She knows better.
Isn't that something? What is up with that woman?
She's calling me. You know I'm live. All right. So,
I called her woman, and on your show Sunday night, she said wasn't nobody supposed to be calling her woman.
You better hope she don't listen. You better hope she don't listen. So I'm gonna send her a quick text message while she's calling and say, hey, we're live. Hello. So if you will, Jerry, put out I guess you did put your stuff out, didn't you? Cool. All right. Like I said, tired, folks. Tired.
It's understandable, my friend.
Well, as always, we close the show with the song called Last Prayer. That's by Chris Beeland. You can find his music at beeland.bandcamp.com. And we dedicate this song to the memory of Samantha Bannister. Team hashtag Team Tiny Dancer forever for the Secular Media Group and Hope After Faith. Until next week.
Be brave, my friends.
It's lonely when you fade away in a lifetime. And it's lonely when you're out in space with no lifeline. And slowly then you turn around and you notice the length and the time when your heart stops beating. Oh, why won't you come settle down? Stop wasting your time and your mind going on believing. No, this won't change. Lord knows you know I can't tell where I'm going. To heaven or falling in hell. All my predictions, I only speak what I have heard. And the sound of your words can do my soul while my soul is here, just bleeding. You know my love, it won't hurt. Stop wasting your time and your mind going on believing. Oh, this won't change.